What is happening, people? Welcome to another episode of No Ball, a UK Chicago Bulls podcast. I am Jimmy from UK Chicago Bulls. Thank you, as always, for joining us, whether you're watching live on YouTube, catching up on YouTube, or just listening via the podcast platforms. As always, really appreciate everyone that sort of listens or watches. It still blows my mind that people want to listen to me rabbit on about a basketball team, but I do really appreciate it. As you can see, I am very much Alex Caruso'd up this evening. I got my Caruso goat hoodie. I've got the headband. I've put my signed Caruso jersey in the back and the double dribble print. Shout out to the guys at Double Dribble who did that awesome Alex Caruso artwork. It was his birthday yesterday. Happy birthday, Alex Caruso. 29, I think. I want to say 29. I'm pretty sure he was 29, which is just scary for me because I am 39 this year. So he's 10 years younger than me, and I idolise the man. Probably a bit sad. Don't even care. I love him. So I am. This episode is dedicated to Mr. Alex Caruso. My guest tonight. I'm really excited to have this guy on. He's a British guy first and foremost, living in Chicago, and we'll get into how we met. He was following me on Twitter. It's really bizarre. It was the craziest thing for me. But it was so cool to meet him. I'm glad I did. And I am so happy to have him on today. So without further ado, Ozzy, how are you doing, brother?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm doing very well, thanks, Jimmy. How you doing?
I'm really good, man. Thank you so much for your time for
Yeah.
this.
Well, what can I say? Thank you, sir. Thank you. I feel as though, I feel very blessed to be in the hot seat today on your show. Following on from Chicago Bulls royalty on your last episode, the King of Drip. So I've tried to do it justice by kind of trying to wear my Chicago Bulls drip stuff. I've surrounded and accessorized myself with a few things. I'm even drinking out of Chicago Bulls mug today, so I'll raise a cup to
Yes.
Alex Caruso on for his birthday as well.
Cheers to that. Yes, Ozzy. Well, listen, you've done
Cheers,
very
man.
well. Ozzy shouting out Derek Briscoe, aka Young Jordan, of course, who was on last week, who is absolutely the king of ball strip.
Yeah.
Listen, you've not done bad yourself, so I'll cheers to
Cheers.
that.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm rocking a different hat to the one that you put up of the picture of me. I thought I don't want to confuse my fans. Don't get me wrong, but I wanted to wear the BMO hat series that we were talking about offline just before we started the show. This is the first time I've worn it, and I'm going to retire it after this. I think this is a special occasion that deserves a one-time showing.
Very privileged,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
privileged.
Shout
I
out
can.
to Nathan Aston, the artist for the tat as well.
They're incredible. Those hat series they did last year were absolutely
Oh yeah,
incredible.
yeah,
Some of
really.
them were the one you've got on, the white one as well. I love the white one.
Yeah, I love
I
that one.
tried so hard to get my hands on that, but it didn't happen. But yeah, they've done some awesome hats. So shout out to
Yeah.
those guys.
I've got a long way to catch you up though on my collection. I've got I don't know, I've got a handful, but I think you've got about 30, 40.
Yeah, so I've not actually counted. I should probably count. I reckon I got around between 30 and 40 hats. I've
Yeah, that's
probably
impressive.
not worn about 80% of them. But yeah, I've got a bit of an issue when it comes to collecting anything really, but especially hats. I do like my hats.
It's all part of the fun, isn't it? It's all part of the fun.
Absolutely. And by the way, guys, there is a reason that this headband, if you're watching, is on upside down, and that is just honouring the GOAT because for some reason he always wears his headband upside down. It's not just that I've put it on wrong, it's on purpose, just in case anyone's thinking that. Um, I have spotted your hat in the background that you've got on in the picture that I put on Twitter. So what hat is that from? Because I noticed that on the.
Yeah, this is kind of like this is a Michelin Ness kind of dark red tartan Bulls cap. So it's got the Bulls logo on the side there. This was again like I think this might have been a limited run made in 2020
Wow.
from the Michelin Ness website. So I just picked it up then, and I wear this to the games more often just because it's something a little bit different.
I've never
Yeah.
seen that hat until I saw
I've never
the
seen
picture
anyone
you sent.
wear it.
No.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot of our Scottish followers that would love
Yes,
that hat.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think so. It's kind of what is it called? The Royal Stuart type of tartan, I think. Some people think it's a Burberry hat. It's not. It's way cooler than
Oh yeah,
that.
it's definitely cooler than a Burberry hat. 100%. Ozzy, we first met. I know you were following me on Twitter, I believe, beforehand,
That's right.
but I think you were the first person of so many afterwards, and it still sounds so weird to say. When I was in Chicago in December last year, it was my first Bulls game while I was there, and it was against the Washington Wizards.
Yeah.
And I had a bit of a surreal time. Luke, shout out to Luke, Cool Hand Luke, who got in touch with me, who got me into the game early and got my hat signed. and got that jersey signed. Got that jersey signed that night. Actually, my Caruso jersey, which is the one I was wearing. Met Tim Sinclair, met Bill Wellington, met all these crazy people, and then I thought this night is just mad, and I was taking it all in. And I think it was half time. I ran down. I thought I'll go and get a beer, and then I was just sort of having a little wander around, and I get this guy say, "You're Jimmy, the guy that runs the UK Bulls thing," and it was you, and it blew my mind that almost 4,000 miles away from where I live, there's a British guy
Right.
in the United Centre who recognised me, and yeah, you were the first person that just out of the blue, and now it's become a bit of a weird thing.
Yeah, well, you're
I,
a celebrity now.
no, I wouldn't go that far, but even in Paris, I had people coming up to me, and don't get me wrong, it's so cool to meet all these awesome people, but it's still so weird. Like my other half in Paris just thought it was bizarre as well, because trust me, I'm a nobody where I live, like literally a nobody. But you were the very first one, and I'll always remember that. And I remember just coming away thinking, "Wow, that was weird, but it was awesome, but weird awesome."
Yeah, I bet.
So firstly, I really appreciate that. You were with your two friends.
Yeah.
I've actually got the photo here, which I'll
Oh yeah,
quickly.
brilliant.
I
Yeah.
had it prepped, which is hopefully it's not too
There we go.
blurry.
Yeah, there we go. Shout
Um,
out to Kathy and Yanni there as well.
Yeah, Kathy and Yanni there as well. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that's lovely. Yeah. So I'll tell those guys to tune in as well.
So that was so early. I didn't even have my tongue out in that photo. I think every other photo after that, I had my
Pretty
tongue
tough.
out, and then even people who have pictures of me were requesting we get our tongues out and stuff. It's just that's become a weird thing.
It's become part of your brand. You see, that's the thing. And you say it was surreal for you, but it was likewise just for me as well, because I'm walking through at halftime, also looking for a beer. With my two buddies, and then you're kind of walking towards me, and I'm walking towards you, and I think, hang on a minute, because I knew you were at the game from following you on social media, right? And I was like, there he is, that's Jimmy, that's UK Chicago Bulls. And then we were kind of just about to walk straight into each other, and then I said hello, and then we took some photos, we had a few, we cracked a few jokes. It was very surreal for me as well. And then after we left, we went back to the game for the second half, and my friends were like, wow, how do you know this guy? I mean. And I was trying to, explain to them that you're running the Chicago Bulls account in the UK and all that kind of stuff. So, you made me look pretty cool as well. So appreciate that too.
I think you must have picked me up way more than I deserved for that to happen. But yeah, that was so awesome. So firstly, thank you for saying hello and what have you. But yeah, the tongue out thing just become a weird thing. My girlfriend does it as well. We're both quite weird. We don't even realize we're doing it some of the time. when we have a photo taken, we just go, we don't like our photos being taken particularly, so we just go make sort of
That's just
fun of it.
Laugh, isn't it? Yeah.
And now it's become a weird thing, and I've had quite a few people message me and say, like, just put the tongue, or comment on photos, just put the tongue away. What's going on? And I'm like, listen, I hear where you're coming from, but it's become a weird thing, and yeah, I mean, it is what it is now. That's just how things are. The tongue's always out, and
maybe you're channeling your inner Michael Jordan. There's a couple of iconic photos of him, right, doing a dunk with his tongue out.
Absolutely, driving to the rim, tongue out. Yeah, that's for sure. So yeah, it's become a weird thing. Some people love it, some people think it's weird, some people hate it. I've just gone with it. Like you say, it's kind of become a thing. So yeah. Anyway, but that was so awesome, man. So you were part of my first ever NBA game. You were like a big weird part of that.
Yeah, it was a great game too against the Wizards. We won by 4 points or so, I think, and
went into it was an overtime game, wasn't it?
It could have been, yeah. It was a narrow win. I think it was by 4 points.
I should probably know this. I'm sure it was an overtime game. No, it wasn't.
It might not have been, but it was a close game. It was 111-115. I remember.
I should remember this, right? When I say to people I've got a terrible memory, I have got the worst memory. I think it was an overtime game, and then we blew out Dallas Mavericks, and then we lost to the Knicks in overtime. Boo, the Knicks. But yeah, anyway, you were a big part of that day, so shout out to you, man, for making it special. Let's touch. You're obviously from the UK. Yeah. You live in Chicago. I kind of know because we spoke about it when I met you, but how did that come about? What took you to Chicago?
Yeah, so I'm from London originally, as you can probably tell from my accent. It's always confusing when I'm having work calls and stuff with people, and people ask where I'm from, and I tell them I'm from London, but I'm actually living in the US. I've lived here since August 2019, and I came out here for work originally. Initially, it was supposed to be just a short-term thing for like 3 months to 6 months, and then here I am 4.5 years later. I'm loving it. I came out here first time to Chicago was actually as a kid, on a family holiday, and we were kind of doing a bit of a US tour at the time. And being a child of the '90s and growing up, hearing about Chicago Bulls and the iconic strip, and the double three-peat and Michael Jordan and all that kind of stuff, and then being in Chicago at a time when the Sears Tower was the world's tallest building. It was like Chicago was at its kind of peak in terms of international like coolness and recognition, if you like. So being here kind of left a really strong impression on me. I had the jersey and all that kind of stuff. I didn't go. I was just after Michael Jordan retired, so I wasn't part of that. I didn't get to experience that. But yeah, the aura was still fresh in my mind. So when I had the opportunity through work to come out here, I was like, yeah, 100%. Didn't even have to think twice. I was, so excited, and yeah, I haven't really looked back since. I love the city so much. I think it's really similar to London in a lot of ways. Two massive cities with great restaurants and galleries, bars, all that kind of stuff that you want from a great place, as you've experienced yourself in your trip. So yeah, I'm really happy here, and it's fun. It's fun living quite close to the UC as well. I go to games quite frequently, and yeah, it's been an amazing whirlwind, to be honest. I'm loving it.
It's crazy, man. Part of me is so envious, so envious. You're right. I mean, it's similar to London. My girlfriend asked me how I would describe it when I called her when I was over there, and I described it as London on steroids.
Right.
But much cleaner. No disrespect to London, but it was such a clean city, Chicago. I was really surprised by just how clean it was.
Yeah. And some great dive bars too. We don't really get those dive bars back home.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, it's honestly an incredible place. Like, even if you're not into basketball, just go to Chicago.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're not into basketball, I'm not sure why you're listening to this, but just go to Chicago. It is a beautiful place. Thomas Arnold's in the chat. Who are your favorite Bulls players post the MJ era? And then he's put Go Knicks. So firstly, boo to that.
Ooh. Thumbs down again, dude.
Secondly, I'm not sure if you can block anyone on YouTube. Who are your favorite players post MJ era? I'll let you take that one quickly, Ozzy.
Well, the first thing that springs to mind is Rose. Derrick Rose, such an icon, such a gifted player. I guess now a Knicks player too. So maybe that's why he's asking. Maybe he's fishing for a compliment there for his own roster. But yeah, it has to be Derrick Rose, because that's the first and only time since the MJ era where Bulls fans have really thought, okay, this is it. We're gonna, go to those heights again. And he's the kid from Chicago, of course. He's a local guy, and he's loved by everyone out here still. And there's always kind of the hope and kind of almost like a fantasy that he's going to return here to finish out his career. We'll see about that. But yeah, I would say personally Derrick Rose.
Okay, so for me, I don't know if you knew this, but I wasn't following basketball then. So I was a big basketball fan in the 90s, hence why I support the Bulls. I had a long period out, and I didn't get back into it until nearly 7 years ago now. So for me, it's, oh man, I don't know. Like, I got back into it when the Jimmy Butler, Dwayne Wade, Rajon Rondo season, that the season we lost to the Celtics in the playoffs. So Jimmy Butler will always be someone that I really love. I love his interviews and stuff like that. I think he's good fun. Obviously, the way he left wasn't the best, things he said and what have you. And I will always love Jimmy Butler. That's just how it is. But although I didn't follow the game back then, after watching a lot of stuff on YouTube and etc., one of my favorite players, possibly the favorite, is Joakim Noah.
Oh yes, cult hero.
I love that man, and I've been so lucky. I've met him twice. So I would probably go with Joakim Noah personally, even though Jimmy Butler, because of the reasons I just said.
Jimmy Butler's a great shout. He's a very, very cool guy. And I think, maybe he didn't leave on the best terms, but I think his reputation out here has softened a little bit now. I mean, back then it might have been a bit explosive, but now I think there's no bad blood between the two now.
Yeah, I hope so. Thomas said he wasn't fishing. And he also put Noah. There is about a 20-second delay, Thomas, on the comments, so I didn't actually see that before I said Noah. So, it was probably Noah for me. But Ozzy, so were you a Bulls fan before you moved to Chicago, or did that sort of just happen whilst you were there?
Yeah, so I was a Bulls fan, but to be honest with you, I wasn't really following them as closely as I could have been, or as I should have been. Really, let's say that trip kind of when I was a kid, kind of made me a Bulls fan, and then it kind of sat dormant for a little while through my teenage and early adult years, and then started kind of getting more into basketball, but observing from a distance. I wasn't really following games live, for example, but I was following what the Bulls were up to. So I know kind of the squads and the rosters and some of the dramas of that year, but certainly not anywhere near as close as I am now that I moved out here. It certainly made it easier to stay in touch with the team, if you like.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
and a big shout out to you for for keeping all the content and stuff coming from the UK, because so much dedication and the early hours and everything to keep up attendances. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
I appreciate that, man. I mean, I try. For me, people say I do a lot. I say this so often, but I don't feel I do, because it's just a big hobby for me. So it's not like work. Like even this now, like every episode of the podcast I've done, I've said if nobody listens, like, it doesn't matter to me, because I've got to speak to someone new or someone I've met or whatever about the Bulls. So for me, this is just a catch up with a friend or someone I've only just met. So
yeah,
I don't ever see it as work, which is it's not a job. It's just a hobby at the end of the day. So you saying that, I do appreciate it, but yeah, it's I don't ever feel like I'm working on. I don't watch all the games live. I would say it's impossible. It's not impossible, but for me it is, because I think I done the most I managed was 10 on a trot, and I was like quite ill with it, trying to juggle work. I got a physical job as well, and my family. Yeah. Excuse me.
That's tough, yeah.
And my girlfriend sort of said to me, you need some sleep. And I looked at her and I said, what do you mean? She said, have you not looked in the mirror lately? And I was like pale white, like just bags. And
but you see, that's dedication for you. That's dedication.
I was ill. I was actually ill for about a week after doing that.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was really bad. I'm one of these people that I have to have my sleep, and I've tried to adapt my body so I don't need it, and I just I get quite ill if I don't get my sleep. So I try and watch one live game a week. Pre-All-Star break, I think I touched on it last week. I didn't watch too many live ones because, quite frankly, I was...
Well, you weren't missing too much in that period, to be honest.
I mean, so if I don't watch them, I get up sort of an hour and a half or 2 hours before I have to go to work. And I'll watch it I watch the whole game before I go to work. Yeah. So I always watch the whole game, and I don't ever check the score before I watch it, because I think that would then... I'm not going to bother with this one. We just lost to the Rockets. I'm not going to watch that. I do watch every game, just not live. And it's tough, because watching live, there's no feeling like it, because you're sort of interacting with other Bulls fans, and it is so much better watching live. And I'm quite an emotional person anyway, so I will tweet things when I'm watching live, and sort of 1 minute I'm up here and then I'm down here and so on. But whereas when I'm watching on catch up, I won't do that, because people think what the hell is going on, But yeah, I love doing this, man. I don't think it's a big deal, but yeah, it's made me. I've met so many awesome people just by doing this. So
and like you, because you had in quite a short time the experience of obviously coming to Chicago, but also the Paris trip, right? So you kind of get a taste of the size of the international fan base of the Bulls, especially after The Last Dance as well. That kind of re-kicked things off again. So I remember when that show was on. I mean, I've seen that back to back a few times now. It's so good. But people back home were like, "Hey, Ozzy, the Chicago Bulls. Like, wow, you live in Chicago. Do you ever go to games and all this kind of stuff?" Like, it really kickstarted another round of interest in the Bulls. So I bet that's helped you kind of keep things going from a distance, especially, going to Paris, seeing how many Bulls fans showed up. Whenever I travel, wherever I go around the world, I see Bulls fans everywhere. It's really awesome. And you can't say that same thing for too many other teams in the NBA.
No, I would agree with that. I mean, I think probably there's a bigger following of probably like your Boston Celtics, potentially Lakers.
Maybe Lakers.
But I see a lot of Bulls stuff, even sort of in my area. And I remember once I saw someone wearing a Bulls, I can't remember if it was a hoodie or a hat. And I said, "Oh my God, you're a Bulls fan." And they were like, "What are you talking about?" And it turned out I got it from Primark or something, and only got it because they liked the design of it or what have you. And it made me look like a bit of an idiot. Yeah, he had no idea what I was talking about. But you do certainly see a lot of Bulls stuff. I mean, Paris especially, obviously with that trip, with the Michael Jordan trip in Paris back in '97, I believe it was.
Yeah.
So it was huge having the Bulls in Paris. I mean, obviously there's a massive hole, because the Chicago trip had been planned for like 2.5 years. because of COVID, it put a stop to it. And I did that and had the most amazing time. Like, honestly, it was truly, I've said this before, but take away anything I've ever done with my kids, it was the best experience of my life. And nothing's even close. It was honestly incredible. To come home from that was tough, although I was exhausted, absolutely exhausted. I had Paris to look forward to, knowing that was only a few weeks off. Well, I had Christmas as well. So I had Christmas, then Paris. So I was like, okay, this is all right. It's not the end of the world. And Paris was an awesome experience. I got to do that with my other half, which was really cool. And then coming back from Paris, it was just like, there's nothing. I've not got any more balls stuff to do. And it was just like, this is weird. And that kind of made me want to kickstart this podcast again, because I just felt there was a massive hole. And it was me doing this was very, I might do one a fortnight, one a month, and then I wouldn't do one for a couple of months. And I kind of just stopped because I felt I need to actually put more effort in it. It was a bit lazy of me, and I had so much stuff on with work and everything else as well. And so this has kind of given me a bit of it's filled that gap to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I mean, I said to you off air, I would go back to Chicago tomorrow. It's the most incredible place. But I'm not going to get back for some time. I don't think. It absolutely crippled me financially. I will be back 100%, but I don't know when it's going to be. Thomas has just put in the comments, it was 97 that the Bulls were in Paris, with the McDonald's game.
That's
he was there as well. So yeah, wow, that must have been insane. I'm very jealous that you were there for that. But yeah, the Paris game was bizarre. I'm going to quickly touch on this. I don't know if I've said this on air yet. Maybe I have, and I'm sorry if I have. But me talking to you earlier, but you were the first person that sort of come up to me when I was in Chicago. So I told people when I got home about this, and I think they thought like I was just lying and just sort of getting myself bang at it. And we went to Paris, and my girlfriend, she hates sort of being the center of attention and stuff, whereas I sort of lap it up. And she said, it's not going to be like Chicago, is it? And I said, oh God, no, it won't be nothing like that. So we get there, and I had a couple of people sort of come up to me and stuff, and nothing too crazy. And then we got into the arena on game night, and this girl come up to me and said, oh my God, you're Jimmy from UK. I said, oh yeah, nice to meet you. This is my girlfriend, Ness. And she was like, oh, this is my girlfriend. And I'm so sorry if you're listening. I've forgotten both of their names because I told you I've got a terrible memory. And we were chatting, and her girlfriend said, oh, are you into basketball? To my girlfriend. And she replied, oh God, no, I'm here for him. Like, I'm not into it at all. And she responded, oh, you're a basketball widow the same as me then. So it turned out she wasn't into it either. So my girlfriend and her was just chatting. I don't know what about. And then me and the other girl originally sort of introduced herself to me. I'm so sorry, I've forgotten your name. I feel terrible. And we're talking about the Bulls and about the game and how excited we both were, and et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, when we said bye and we walked off, my girlfriend started laughing. I said, what are you laughing at? And she said, the girl just said to me, I don't mean to be rude, but who is he?
Oh no.
And my girlfriend responded with, oh, he's a nobody that talks nonsense about the Chicago Bulls. Which she's absolutely hit the nail on the head, to be fair. But that to me was so weird. Like, it's just, it was bizarre. But there was a couple of people that sort of come up and said hello and stuff. But there was a guy actually from Chicago that come and introduced himself as well, and I've forgotten your name as well. I'm so sorry. And he's on my Twitter. I followed him back and stuff, and we've had a bit of interaction. Really nice guy come up and introduced himself and sort of chatting about stuff. And he was one of the ones that asked me, "What's with this weird tongue thing, man?" But yeah, so it was just crazy, man. I had like the best 2 months following this team, and
it was fun watching you. To be honest, it was fun to follow your antics. And like, starting with Chicago trip, you met so many players. You got a lift home with Will Perdue, which was incredible. It was like, that must have been surreal. And then shortly after that, the Paris trip. Like, yeah, it was. I mean, I go to games from as often as I can, but even if I spread those out over the 3.5 years I've been here, it's nothing compared to your concentrated experience. So yeah, it's very, very special.
It's crazy. I mean, sometimes at night I'll just sit there and go back over all the pictures and the videos that I took, and it still doesn't feel like it happened. And it's just, I mean, the trip with Will Perdue was kind of one of the tops. I mean, I asked him if he minded me recording it, because I didn't think I would
Yeah.
even believe it. Never mind anyone else.
Was
He
that,
was
wait,
so
did
awesome.
you have a limousine or something, or what was the story
No, no,
there?
it was just his own car. I think it was like a
Oh,
GM
okay.
GMC, is it? One of those
Oh,
sort
okay.
of big 4x4 things he had.
You didn't go out partying together, did you? Or is that not for live content?
No comment. No, no, we didn't.
No
No, he dropped me
comment.
back. He got a bit lost back at my hotel. Actually, he took Lower Wacker, and he couldn't get
All
back
right.
up from Lower Wacker. I was
Oh
staying
yeah, yeah.
right downtown by Navy Pier. So he ended up. I said, "Look, I'm cool just to get out here and go up the steps," which is what we did in the end.
Mm,
But yeah, he was so cool, man. I mean, we didn't even speak about basketball. Like it was just about life, and
cool.
he called his wife when we were in the car and introduced me. It was just
Wow.
craziest thing. He
Yeah.
said about coming to London and stuff, and if he comes to London, he's gonna get in touch. And I was on the score as well, 670 the score,
Oh, cool.
with Layla and Dan, and they had Will on there as well, and so we sort of reconnected on the radio there while I was still in Chicago. And he kind of said, "Look, I'm going to come to London, man. It's going to be sooner than you think, and we'll hook up." So hopefully he does, and yeah, we can meet up again. That'd be really cool.
You know what would be great is a NBA game featuring the Bulls in London at the O2, because they do from time to time those games in London, don't they? But I don't think the Bulls have never been part of that. But like we said before, given the size of the fan base and stuff, and the success of the Paris show, I think that would be awesome. If maybe we should petition for it. We
Well,
should
the
get the
trouble
guys and
is,
your contacts.
London lost the game to Paris.
Ah, is that what happened? Okay, so that's
Yeah, so the last London game, God, there's a lot of Knicks talk on this. The last London game was Knicks Wizards, I believe.
okay.
Wizards, I'm sure it was, yeah. And the Knicks won on. Did they win or lose? I think Knicks won on like a goaltend or something. It was something
Right.
weird.
Uh,
But yeah, it went to Paris from there. So
right.
I don't think London are going to get one anytime soon.
Shame.
Yeah, massive shame. But yeah, I mean, listen, it was awesome to go to Paris. I've never been to Paris before, and that is a beautiful place. I got really lucky because I lost out on tickets, but the guys from the Bulls hooked me up, along with many other guys they hooked up as well. The people in charge there are so cool. I touch on that a lot, but I can't speak highly enough about those guys. Incredible.
What did you prefer, the French food or the American food?
Do you know, when I was in Chicago, I was eating one meal a day.
Seriously.
Serious.
bet
I
it was
think
big enough to keep you going, right?
unbelievable.
Yeah,
And where I was so busy as well, I think, but the portion sizes are incredible. I mean, one of my friends, Bryn from NBA UK Fans, shout him out. He tipped me off to this pancake place, Wildberry Pancakes.
okay.
He said, "You got to go there for breakfast. It's really good. I've been there. It's awesome." So I said, "Okay." So I went there for breakfast, and I was looking at the menu, and I didn't really know what to order. And I just said, "Look, it was like their specialty, so it was like the Wildberry special pancakes.
Yeah.
5 pancakes, some fruit syrup." I said, "Yep, that'll do." And he said, "Do you want bacon with that?" And I was like, "I don't know. Do I need bacon?" He said, "Most people have bacon." I said, "Okay, I'll have a side of bacon."
I can
Wow,
see where it's going, yeah.
my God, it come out. And I expected like 5 pancakes. No, it was 5 pancakes. And it come out, and I looked at him and I said, This can't be mine." And he was like, "Yeah, you ordered the Wildberry special." And I was like, "This is for one." And he was like, "Yeah." I was like, This is like for 6 people where I live. Like,
One family it's enough for, yeah.
well, everyone was laughing because it's quite tight in there. Everyone was sort of laughing at this British guy, like moaning about the massive portion. And man, I tried my hardest. I didn't even eat half of this breakfast, and I
Yeah,
couldn't move. I
don't
was like,
blame you.
and the guy next to me ordered the same thing but with different toppings.
Okay.
And as his come out, the guy handed it to him. He didn't even flinch. Just picked up his knife and fork and tucked in. And I was like,
Yeah, I reckon it takes a lifetime of training yourself to get to that stage. I'm nowhere near that. So I had pancakes maybe once or twice when I first moved out here, and I know better now than to do that. I just-
it was crazy, absolutely crazy. I went to Portillo's for lunch.
Oh yeah, nice.
Had one of their dipped Italian beefs,
Oh,
and that was
yeah.
me done for the day. I literally
Did you
didn't
go
eat.
extra dip, like super wet?
I don't know. I just said, "Do what you
Is
do.
there, like,
Do what's
levels
best."
of wetness for that? Whenever people come out here to visit, I tell them just to go full deep into the super wet at Portillo's. It's like You got to start in the deep end in Chicago with the cuisine, I think, just to
I
try it.
definitely try. I mean, I underestimated with the napkins that I needed. I
Oh
had to
yeah,
go back and get some more napkins because it was just everywhere.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it
yeah.
was unbelievable. So yeah, shout out Portillo's. But my favorite meal, and ended up going there twice, was Lou Malnati's.
Oh yeah, I like Illuminati's. Yeah.
Incredible. I mean, I
Oh, you're
got
making
told
me hungry now.
afterwards about a couple of others as well, which I've forgotten their names. Shock
Yeah,
horror.
there's a few. Yeah, I reckon Illuminati is probably my favorite one as well. Yeah, there's Pizzeria Uno downtown near where I live, which is claims to be the original deep dish pizza. That
Right.
place is pretty good as well. But yeah, there are quite a few options. You're spoiled for choice with deep dish out here, you know.
It's incredible, man. Like the Lou's I had was just unbelievable. Like so good. And I would fly to Chicago just to eat another one of them right now. It was
Yeah.
so good. But yeah, the food's incredible. It's so much. I planned to eat so much more, but I just could
Hmm.
not eat anymore. I had
Yeah.
a cheeseburger from oh my gosh. I told you my memory was bad. What's the nearest pub to the United Centre? But there's quite a few scattered around.
Kaiser Tiger
Um,
is one that springs to mind. Kaiser Tiger, it's like a brewery with 2 floors.
no, it's famous for being on Saturday Night Live, I think.
Oh,
Cheeseburger. Oh my God,
something, is it called the Bear? No. I think I know the place you mean. It's kind of an old school joint on the corner somewhere.
that's right. That's the one. It's gonna really annoy
Hit
me.
my mind as well now. You put me on the spot.
Uh,
Not really living here.
oh my God, how can I not remember this place? I've got
Does
the
anybody in
worst.
the comments, please help us out here.
I have got the worst memory. I'm trying to look on my phone now to find it. Oh my God. I tell you who messaged me about it. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Oh my gosh, I can't find it. It's killing me. Ah, here we go.
Yeah.
Mike messaged me about it. Oh my God. I've got to find the Billy Goat Tavern. There we go.
Nice one. Okay.
Billy Goat Tavern. Shout out
Yeah.
Mike Mackey for that.
You got talent. Yeah.
And I had a cheeseburger in there as well, which was really good to be fair. Really
Yeah.
good.
Very old school spot, that. Yeah.
But yeah, it was so awesome, man. I loved everything about it. I honestly did, and I was so fortunate with the weather because it wasn't too cold. It was actually colder in the UK whilst I was in Chicago, which I was not expecting.
It's funny how that happens sometimes. Yeah. That
and
was
then
early December, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, the 6th of December I flew out, and I come home on the gosh, I can't remember. 14th. I don't know. But yeah, basically the week after I got home, it went stupidly cold apparently. My friend was actually out there as well at the same time. He was a Knicks fan. Boo, a lot of Knicks talk tonight.
Yeah.
And he went to Soldier Field for the Bears game on the Sunday. I come home that Thursday night and Bears were at home on the Sunday. And he went to the Bears game and he said it was so cold. Him and his girlfriend left.
It must have been like minus 20 degrees Celsius.
Yeah.
I mean, it was seriously insane conditions. That was a famously cold match. Wow. Fair play for going to that.
Yeah, his girlfriend was literally
watching it on TV.
His girlfriend was literally in tears where like they were so cold. So I think they left. They left like it. I don't know. It was well before the end. I think they made it well past half time, but well, I say well past. They made it past half time. I'm not sure how much past, but yeah, he said it was just so cold. So yeah, maybe it was just as well I didn't get to that. But yeah, I got super lucky, man, when I was in Chicago with everything, with the weather, with the people, with the opportunities. And yeah, it still blows my mind what happened to me when I was there. I had a French camera crew come follow me around for a little bit, which was really bizarre. It was just, yeah, there was just so much, so much. But yeah, I could talk about that for literally days. So, and I'm sure I will over the coming months. But yeah, let's talk about the Bulls' recent form and.
No, we didn't have to. No, I'm kidding. We should.
I mean,
we should. It's good to talk, speak out loud. You know, it's bad to keep it all tucked inside you. Let's get it
use it as a therapy session.
Yes, exactly. All right.
So we're going to ignore pre-All-Star break. We touched on it last week. I got really down about it. Started embracing the tank.
Yeah.
The break did me the world of good.
My notes in that case.
The break did me the world of good. I come back from All-Star break all positive. We signed Pat Beverly. That for me, I was so excited about.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Great start against the Nets. I mean, that energy that we showed straight from the off on that Nets game, the first game back after All-Star break, it was just like, oh my God, where has this been?
Where has this come from? Yeah, where has this been? Yeah.
And it was literally from the off, and then it got to half time, and we kind of, I don't know about you, but I certainly thought, well, we know how this plays out, right? Billy Donovan will do his team talk, they'll all come out, completely change what's been working, and it will all go to a mess. That didn't happen. And I was blown away. And everyone knows that I wear my heart on my sleeve. I do get carried away. I get up here when things are good, and I'm down here when things are bad, and there's no in between. I'm not. Yeah, I wear my heart on my sleeve. I was thinking, oh my God, Pat Beverley is the savior.
Yeah.
Pre the next game, I was saying to people, I know he's not the savior, but his energy is what we need. Blah blah blah. After that next game, I'm going, this is it. Pat Beverley's going to save our season. Then we play
Wizards,
Washington Wizards, and the same thing.
Yep.
We play. All right, the Wizards weren't particularly. Yeah, the Wizards weren't particularly great. Let's be honest, but we played really well against the Wizards, and you're like, okay, we're not going to throw away this lead. Patrick Beverley is the savior. And then last night come against the Raptors. And we could not get a defensive rebound if our life depended on it.
It was so difficult to watch because the rest of the performance wasn't that bad.
No.
Bulls just gave it away, basically. Every single time they came over to our net, became an offensive rebound for them. Sometimes it was 3 or 4 in a row, and you're just thinking, how is this possible? At NBA level basketball, when you've just come off that run of form of those last 2 games, how is it possible to be so bad at giving up those rebounds? Plus the turnovers as well. That's something that's always been a problem for the Bulls, though. But at least the last 2 games we thought we turned the corner. But no, the same old story again. Just when you think that we might have be on a good run, maybe to get 3 wins, maybe the elusive 4 wins in a row. Because you think yesterday's game could have won that game. Should have won that game.
Should have. Absolutely should have won.
We lost the head-to-head now against the Raptors. And, I was watching that game and taking some mental notes, thinking, I can't wait to talk about it with you because I have a good feeling about this, given the run of form. But it just didn't go that way. Also, another thing to note is again, it's something that's been plaguing the Bulls, the shot selection.
Yeah.
In fact, yesterday was compounded by the fact that they just weren't taking enough shots.
There was too much passing. The ball movement in those first 2 games with the Nets and the Wizards was brilliant. Last night, they were passing too much.
Yeah. And to use a football analogy, it's a bit like when you're playing tiki-taka and you're trying to pass it all the way into the goal. You can only do that up to a point, unless you've got absolutely elite players in all positions where you can literally waltz it into the goal. You can't do that. And I don't know why the Bulls are so hesitant at taking shots. Yesterday, in the last few minutes, there were so many occasions where it could have turned the game around and won that game. But again, shot selection, too many passes, that one extra pass. And why I just don't understand why Billy and the team aren't able to stamp that out. Because it's, I would have thought that that's something that's more simple to fix than some of the other problems that the Bulls have.
I mean, on the rebound front, I think you have to bring in Drummond.
Yeah,
you can see we're struggling
in the fourth quarter yesterday.
All right, Drummond. We all know what Andre Drummond is. I love him as a person. I think he's great.
Hey, he's a character too. Don't forget,
he's a great character. Yeah. And we know how good he is on the boards. He's one of the best at getting a rebound. He just is. Okay, you don't want him bringing the ball up the court. You don't want him doing too much dribbling.
You don't want him taking free throws.
Yeah, you don't want him taking too many shots. Full stop. But when you need a rebound, that's the man you turn to, right? Before anybody else. That's puzzling for me. There's so many questions over Billy Donovan. I mean, how do you feel about Billy Donovan?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. A lot of question marks. Mainly because we have so many consistent problems that I would have thought coaching is the easy way to solve. Like you just talked about, bringing in some tall guys to close out games. yesterday, the last 2 or 3 minutes, it was all small ball, all short guys, and we got crowded out in the net and paid the price. And you just think, okay, this has happened many times in the start of the season, all the way up to the All-Star break. So why not fix it? It's such a simple fix, in my mind at least. I'm not a basketball coach, but everyone else seems to be able to see it. They talk about it on the show, they talk about it on Twitter, you talk about it on the podcast. It's why is it that we can see it, but others who are making the decisions can't? And I find that very frustrating as a fan, especially when there's a lot of lack of transparency from the coaches after the games about these decisions. Because at least bring on some tall guys, bring on Drummond, we might have had a few more rebounds and might have closed that game out. So I think yesterday is all on the coach. Yesterday's loss is all on the coach. And I don't know how much Billy Donovan is really adding to the Bulls. I mean, I wonder, could a different coach get the same, on sub 500 performance from the same team? Because I do think this squad is very talented. There's a lot of good youth in there. And I'm concerned that without the right guys around them, they're not going to be developing in the way that we hoped. I don't want to sound too critical, too bleak, but that's just kind of the way my trajectory is going. I'm not sure if it's the right pairing. And also, I know you talked about this a lot on your show as well, but the whole giving a new contract to Billy Donovan, kind of behind the scenes in the middle of the season, when results aren't even going that well, like what's that about? So that's also something for the front office to answer about. I'm criticizing the coach, but I'm also criticizing the front office management here, because it just seems to be a lot of confusion, and that translates and manifests all the way to the players. All those 5 who are playing, they seem to be confused when to take a shot, when to pass. All these kind of things. There's a lot of confusion around the Bulls right now, and it's worrying, but nothing is beyond saving given the place that we're at in the league. So I want to finish on a potential positive, but yeah, I'm confused about a lot of things. What do you think?
I think a lot of people feel exactly the same as what you just said. The Billy Donovan extension was just weird, not because they gave it to him, but because it was all so secretive.
Yeah,
that's very bizarre. I mean, I had this backwards and forth with somebody on Twitter about the talent on this team. There is enough talent on this team for a top 6 seed.
100%. This team should not be up sub 500.
No, it's not a talent issue. It's a team issue. It's absolutely a team issue. They're not bonding.
And that's why I'm leaning towards being more critical of the coach than the players and the squad, because the talent is there. It's just not being used properly.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. 100%. I know the players need to buy in, but that's your job to get them on board. And I mean, Patrick Beverley speaks very highly of Billy Donovan, and he's I believe a big reason why he came here is what he said. I don't know, man. I mean, there was a challenge to be made last night, which I think he should have made.
With about 4 minutes to go, on Beverley's instruction, actually.
That's exactly right,
Bev was calling on Billy Donovan to make that challenge, and he didn't.
Yeah, I think if you make that challenge, you win that challenge. That's nailed on. We've all seen the replay. We win that challenge.
That changes the whole momentum of the game.
Absolutely. We get the possession back of the basketball. All right, we may not have gone on and scored in that possession, but if we do, it's a whole different game. A whole different game. I don't know why you don't challenge that. We're not talking about the first 4 minutes of the game. We're talking about the final 4 minutes of the game. Exactly. That was a strange one to me. I mean, Alex Caruso was going... He was sort of driving quite late on, and there was a shot for him to take. He was wide open.
I can see it right now. Yeah.
And he passed the ball off, and it didn't work out, and we lost possession. Another turnover, right? And you just think, I love the guy, right? Obviously, you can see it. Everyone knows how much I love Alex Caruso, but that for me, and I know it wasn't his night shooting. Okay, he had a terrible night shooting, and sometimes you just have to. If it's not your, I always say it about Zach LaVine. Recognize when it's not your night. Let someone else take it. But sometimes you think, I know it wasn't your night, but there wasn't a better option. The pass just the hesitation killed him. If he knew he was going for the pass, I think he makes that earlier. Probably gets through. We probably score in that position. It was the hesitation, and I think he was shocked to see. He was wide open, right?
Yeah, he was. He turned his back from the net, to look for his team.
I think it was just one, shock of being that open, that close to the basket. 2, panic. 3,
Yeah.
lack of confidence. I understand it, but that was like a big, oh man, if he
Big part of
scores
home.
that, if he scores that again, that changes the whole dynamic of the
Yeah.
remaining. I think it was like the last couple of minutes as well, so maybe the last 90 seconds or so. I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
It was, yeah.
Um,
You could hear
Demar,
Stacey King and Adam Moon just kind of sinking in the commentary, like, oh no,
it was
big
so tough,
shot,
man. I mean,
big shot.
Demar missed the late free
Yeah, he
throw as
missed
well,
one. Yeah,
which you
I'm
put.
very unlike him, and I love DeMar DeRozan. Like, he's my
Same.
favorite player on the team, by the way. Yeah,
I mean, you put your mortgage on him,
absolutely. Yeah,
making both of those that late in the game for sure.
I know, man.
Yeah, I mean, those are my notes on last night's games. I mean, we had 3 turnovers in the first 3 minutes. The amount of
Sounds like-
turnovers we had in the whole game was a joke. I've got those here somewhere, actually. I don't know why I'm touching on this because it's all depressing. Ended up with 19 turnovers. Yeah, Vooch couldn't catch the ball early on. I forgot about that. It kind of quite a few slipped
yeah.
through his hands.
Mhm.
Yeah, the Raptors did get red hot from 3-point range in the fourth
Yeah.
quarter as well, to be fair.
Mm.
Billy should have challenged. That's on there. We just touched on that. The Raptors' offensive rebounds, didn't even need to reminded about that.
I mean, there was 3 offensive rebounds in a row, and I'm just sat there like, what's going on here, guys? Come on, wake up.
Yeah, there was so much wrong with that, and it was tough to take. But listen, we go again tonight. We've got Detroit Pistons replay of the Paris game.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And you know, we all know what we did to them in Paris, so hopefully we can do that again. But we all know how the Bulls play against these sort of lesser
again,
teams. So
always those games where you expect the Bulls to win because of the talent, heavily in favor of the Bulls, in my opinion, against a team like the Pistons, are the games where I'm most nervous. I mean, look at the record against the Celtics. Look at the record against teams in the top 3 or 4 of each of the division. Bulls are superior, but it's when it comes to the mid-table and the lower ranked teams, that's when I get nervous because the more you put your mortgage that they're going to lose those games.
and even if we're leading at the half, you're not sort of your
Yeah.
nerves aren't at ease, are they? Because we all know what happens. But yeah, hopefully that changes. We get back on track tonight, and we can all be positive again. It was such a shame after 2 really solid games for that to happen last night. And listen, the Raptors aren't a terrible team. Let's not kid ourselves. They're a very good team. They're a very good defensive team.
Yeah.
And they're a
Good
very good
three-point
rebounding
shooters.
team.
Yeah.
Good 3-point shooters and a very good rebounding team, which we found out all too well last night. So.
Well, just to finish off on yesterday's game, what disappoints me about yesterday more so is that the Bulls were able to hold back, I think, Van Fleet and Barnes to really low numbers.
Yeah.
But couldn't translate that into a win. Like, those are the guys who normally expect to win the games for the Raptors or to be the clinical guys for the Raptors, and they weren't. The Bulls did a good job on those 2, but the rest of it just wasn't there, and it's the lack of consistency that has been costing the Bulls in those kind of moments as well. So yeah, hopefully we can fix it tonight because look, all is not lost. We have a bad record. We're sub 500. We're far away from play-in, but everything is still achievable. If you look at the fixtures. Okay, I'm going to contradict myself here because I just said it's the games against the lesser teams that we're expecting to lose, but we should be winning on paper. If we can bring the page to life, then yeah, we should be in a good shot in a place to save the season. Let's say at the very least get a playing spot.
I hope so, man. And the Wizards game was important because beating the Wizards made us go 2-2 with the Wizards this season.
That's right.
Which then I believe, if we were to match the Wizards record for the playing spot, it goes on the Eastern Conference record, not the overall record. So as it stands, the Bulls have a much better record against the East teams than the Wizards. I can't remember what it was. I should have done that research, forgotten. Shock. Obviously, last night's defeat was a big one because the Raptors are in that same sort of bracket with us and the Wizards. We've lost that now, so if we end up on par with the Raptors, they take it because they've got a bet. They've beaten us in the head-to-head.
Yeah,
that was a big blow last night. Make no mistake about it. It was a tough loss to take because the game was there for the taking. In my opinion, it just was, and we failed to do it, which we've seen all too often this season. I don't know what I'm still rooting for the let's get in this play-in, let's win a playing game and get to the playoffs. Are we going to win a playoff series? Probably not. Let's be real about it. But who knows? With this Bulls team this year,
Yeah.
last year, absolutely not. The Bucks destroyed us 4-1.
Yeah.
Had a terrible record against good teams. This
Yeah.
year, the record we got against teams like Boston, don't get me wrong, I think when it comes to the playoffs, if we were matched up with Boston, I think in a playoff series, we're probably getting swept, if we're being truthful. I know
Well, we've
we've
got
got
something to hang on to with the record in the normal season, right?
we have.
Didn't have that one. Yeah.
But that's regular season basketball, man. I think when it comes to the playoffs, you're going to see a different animal with the Celtics if we were to get them. I don't fancy our chances if we got the Bucks in a seven game series.
It's nice to be there. You got to get these players, especially the younger guys, in that playoff. Get them in the season them for the playoffs at least. It's just good to be there, and then you get to learn from your mistakes. But being out of the playoffs is a huge disappointment. If you don't make the playoffs at all, that's a big L for the season.
100%, 100%. I mean, I'm not a fan of the play-in tournament. Personally, I like the excitement it brings, but I think it's really unfair. This season, I'm actually quite happy there is a play-in tournament, because otherwise, I don't think the Bulls are making it. So
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, we'll see how it plays out, but I do hope we get there. I understand people not wanting to. Let's get in the lottery and just hope for the best and hope we get a top 4 pick.
I don't like it. There's too many ifs and buts on that.
I agree. I mean, imagine getting a fifth in the draft.
Yeah, exactly.
I just did. I shout out Geraint. I seem to shout him out every week. I know he listens. I could not if we were in the lottery and get the 5th pick, I'm going to have to block Geraint because from Orlando Magic UK, because
Imagine
my
the smugness.
I can't begin to even. No, I can't. So no, I hope
the trade will totally fall apart if that happens. You know, in terms of the success, who won that trade? I think it will definitely be Orlando.
I think imagine getting the 5th pick that goes to Orlando and Vooch walks.
Oh, you see. I don't want to imagine it. Let's change the subject.
Yeah, let's. Yeah, let's be confident. Let's beat the Pistons tonight. Go on a run. We've got another early tip next Sunday against the Pacers, Indiana Pacers next Sunday, 8:30 again on Sunday, which is awesome for us international Bulls fans.
Yeah.
And we have got another one later in the month against the Lakers as well. We got an 8:30 tip against the Lakers on the Sunday. I forget the date, the 20-something, followed by in LA. Followed by a Clippers game the following night on a back-to-back at 3:30 in the morning. So we go from a nice early tip to a terrible, terrible late tip, which is quite brutal. But yeah, so we got a nice early tip next Sunday, which do you know what's amazing for me? You probably take it for granted where you've been there for so long, but when I was in Chicago, one of the nights I went to Lou Malnati's, I was sat there having a nice pizza. Obviously, it wasn't a Bulls game; it was the day before.
Yeah,
and there was a Lakers game on the telly. And I'm eating my pizza, having a beer, watching the game, just in my head, because if that happens at home, it's a replay of the night before.
Oh,
right?
I see. Yeah, of course.
And I was like, oh, this is live. This is a live game now. For you, that's like every night, right? Live basketball.
Yeah, true. I guess I do take that for granted. Yeah.
And that was so surreal for me. Just sat in a bar watching live basketball is crazy. But yeah, you probably forget that pretty quick when you live there, and it's just sort of taken for granted. But yeah, I'm so jealous of you out there, man. Really, it's.
I'll keep you updated on my movements, dude. You can live vicariously through me at the Bulls games.
Absolutely, as I'm sure many will. Ozzy, just give your handles a quick shout out as well on social so people can follow you.
Yes, please. Yes, I'm red and yellow, and my handle is Ataqoz, ATAQOZ, or QOZ for our international and British fans.
There we go.
I'm still not quite there with translating everything into the US speak. So I'm still on Celsius, still on Z, still on jumper instead of sweater, but I'll get there.
Okay, so knowing you're a big football fan and you're a big Galatasaray fan, hence the red and yellow. If people go and follow you, go and follow Ozzy now. You'll see that. What do you call the sport over there? What would you call it naturally? Let me ask that first.
Oh, absolutely football. No question. But, I've started, what I'm getting disappointed in myself, I've started to cater for my audience. So if I'm talking to a bunch of Americans, I might say soccer, and a little piece of me dies inside, if I'm honest.
I absolutely get you, because when I was over there speaking about it, and I would go, I would always say football, and then I would straight away go, "Oh, soccer for you guys." And it
Yeah,
just
yeah.
the word just doesn't
Oh, it
sound
doesn't
right,
feel
does
right,
it?
does it?
No,
Doesn't sit right in me. No, no,
no.
no.
I remember talking to about football to somebody, and I was trying to explain the football over here, and the team I support and stuff. And I realised halfway through the conversation why they were looking at me so strangely, because they didn't realise that American football was big over here. And
Yeah.
whilst my local team would be Portsmouth, would have a American football team, which of course they don't, or maybe they do. If they do, I don't know about it. I was
Mm.
talking about our football, their soccer, if you like. And
Yeah.
yeah, I quickly realised that they had no idea what I was talking about, and I'd confused everybody. But yeah, it's crazy. It must be quite tough with because some of the lingo. Like I come back from America, and I was talking about when I was in the I met Joakim Noah when he was in the elevator, and they were
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah,
"You mean
yeah,
lift? You mean lift,
yeah,
right?" I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah." I got
yeah.
so used to. It's amazing how
Exactly.
quickly you do sort of slip into the different words.
Another
But
one is queue. In that, I waited for a queue for the elevator. No, wait, it's got a queue for the lift. And I'm like, hang on, what the hell's a queue? Oh, I mean line. I meant to say I'm waiting for a line
so
to
they
use
don't
the
get
elevator.
Q.
No, no. People like look at me like, what queue? Queue?
I didn't know that. I didn't know Q was a new one.
Yeah, I not did I thought that was internationally used expression for waiting in a line, but yeah, apparently not. I get funny looks for that.
If there's one thing us Brits do well, it's Q. We do
Yes,
a good Q.
we do enjoy. Yeah.
Ozzy, thank you so much, man. I've
Thank you
really
for having
enjoyed
me, pal.
this. I've really enjoyed
Superb.
this. Again, thank you for introducing yourself and coming over in Chicago. It meant a lot, and it was awesome to meet you. And yeah, man, I really do appreciate it. So thank
Yeah,
you.
no, likewise. Thank you so much for having me on the show, and thank you for spreading the Bulls Nation love to our UK fans and
I'm
international fans as well. Yeah, you're
I'm
doing a great
trying
job.
my
So keep
best,
it
man.
up,
There's
pal.
many of us over here doing it. I'm
Yeah.
just a small part of that, but I appreciate that, man. But thank you, Ozzy.
All right.
Guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We've got Bulls game tonight. This will probably go out in the early hours by the time I've edited the audio. So if you're listening to this, the game's probably finished. The Bulls definitely would have won. They would have beaten the Pistons. That's without a shadow of a doubt. And then we've got an early tip Sunday, which we spoke about. So I'm excited for that. Get to watch another live game without losing too much sleep. Enjoy the games. Hopefully we can get back to winning ways and push for that play-in spot. And yeah, until next week, guys, go Bulls.